You make me a pretty proud Papa Breck.
Although you're...
Well, you're driving them like they do in the movies. Daddy doesn't drive them like that. You want me to take the lines back? Well, hello everyone. Gonna answer some questions or give my thoughts on a few things here or there. Take it for what it's worth. Might not be worth anything. But Haflingers or Belgians? Haflingers or Belgians? Here we've got a nice pair of 3/4 sister. Getting hitched up, ready to take them out. Barbie and Georgie. See, they don't miss too many meals. Pair of half-sister Belgians. Ethel and Lucy. They're a hair bigger. How you doing, Ethel? You want to say hi to everyone? That's a pair I got in the barn breaking right now. Nice big stout girls. They're going to be 17 hands plus. 17 hands plus. How about it, Lucy? How you doing? How you doing, girl? If you've watched any of the previous videos, you see we started them from scratch and now they're working. I guess the question could be Haflingers, Belgians, or ponies. Although you're a little limited, or donkeys, a little limited with them. But I'm gonna get, been working these two quite a bit, giving them the day off. And I'm gonna get Barbie and Georgie hooked up here and we'll talk a little bit about Haflingers or Belgians. Belgian or Haflinger, there's obviously more out there, but workhorse breeds, they kind of present two different opposite sides of the spectrum. Well, one's going to be your work context or your context of what you want out of your horse, and then the second's going to be temperament context as well. Now, as most will point to, there is more dissimilarities within a breed than there is between breeds, between horse to horse. But there's a sure good bet that if you buy a hitch style Haflinger and a work stock Belgian, you're going to have two different personalities. So that is something to keep in mind. But, like something like these Haflingers, now these are not old style, but also not modern style. I'd call these a moderate Haflinger. These girls are maturing at about 14.2. And yeah, they got a little bit of a hot head to them, but they'll work their guts out for you, and that's what a lot of Haflinger guys like. And it's funny, I've got Amish friends that they say they'd never be seen in the light working a Haflinger, and if they had to, they'd do it in the dark. Go work their field with a Haflinger. And there's Haflinger guys that don't ever want to have anything to do with the Belgian. They say, I don't want to feed that thing, and that is two very reasonable situations. Now the Belgian guys, there's a little bit of homewood there, but they there you go. There's a little bit. We got two broke Haflingers here. Now they've been here. I've been working these girls, but you know what? They're gonna notice stuff. Their mamas. I know. I'm good friends with the breeder of these two. I know their mamas. I've seen their grandmamas. They're gonna notice stuff, and you know what? They're going to work for you, but you're probably going to always have to have your hands on the line or at least be around them. You're not going to just set the lines down and go walk in and grab a coffee with these two. Real older, good broke pair. That's something different, but the hitch blood is certainly, or the show ring is certainly riding. All those things have certainly changed what the Haflingers are. Similar to the Belgians. Belgians hitch blood and Poland bred, and you've got lots of different options, but I think we're looking at it more in the context of work stock. So right here we've got work stock style Haflingers, and we are talking about maybe work stock style of Belgians. And let's talk about maybe individuals or farms context when first thinking about the differences between the two. So let's talk a little bit of context. Now, context on the farm, or what your work context would be, I think that's probably the most important, because you can get along with most horses. And like I said, there's more difference in personality in the breed than there is between breeds. I would say in general that would probably be true in most things, just because of the variety of types of Haflingers there are and types of Belgians there are. Now, in general, is an Arabian and a Belgian going to be a different horse? Yes. Now, that's why we have warm bloods and hot bloods and cold bloods and the whole 9 yards, huh, bro? But context. Now, how big of a farm? How much work are you going to be doing? Are you just going to be doing something like wagon riding? And how big of a wagon are you going to be riding? How many people are you going to be hauling on that wagon? That may determine whether you're going to be looking at Belgians or Haflingers. Or how much farming are you going to be doing? Are you going to be mowing 10 acres of hay or 100 acres of hay? Are you going to be, doing other things with them? Are you going to be doing your spring plowing? Are you going to be doing your fall chores? Are you going to be skidding logs with them? And that's not to say that any of those would more so indicate whether you need a Haflinger or a Belgian, because they could work in all those different contexts. Now, one thing I do like about Haflingers, and I've said this before, I know I was talking to Joe Mishka this fall about it, is just the modularity of a Haflinger, is the fact that there may be contexts where you just need one Haflinger and someone just has one Haflinger and that's all they need. In a work context, that's a pretty small work context, but hey, if you're just skidding your log, your firewood, and you're just going out maybe in a single buggy, or you're just doing some things with one horse, that one Haflinger might work great. There's also some contexts where one Belgian would work great, but the thing is that you do have to keep in mind, I would say, with the context, size-wise, farm-wise, would be that you can always go up in horses, but you can't go down. So if you have a job that one Belgian or two Haflingers would do, and you kind of find yourself not being able to work those horses, then you're just going to be feed one big Belgian, or maybe two big Belgians, and feeding two Haflingers is a whole lot different story than feeding Belgians. That's one of the big things. Context-wise there too. Context, how much do you want to feed? Is keeping your feed budget... Whoa, there's someone passing us here. Go. Step, girls. Step. Is keeping your feed budget low? I mean, is that something that's important to you? Haflingers can certainly mow and rake a ton of hay, way more hay than they'll eat, but the same thing could be said about a Belgian, or, so those are just contexts to think about. They work great. I will say that Haflinger-wise, now if you're working mares, now we work breed and keep and work mares, because they're also working for you even when you're not working them, right, having babies and whatnot. And so our work mares are brood mares as well. But hey, stay up. But if a context is that you're trying to have brood mares or work horses that you're breeding, and you want to have a bit of a horse farm where you're breeding horses, Haflingers are pretty wonderful in the fact that two Haflingers may do the job of one Belgian, or here and there, but you can keep 2, 3, 4 Haflinger mares, and realistically, not your hay needs are not enormous, they're not crazy. Whereas you start getting into 2, 3 Belgians, your hay needs, your feed needs overall are much, much bigger. And the other thing with Haflingers, it is certainly easy to stick 2 together, 3 together, 4 together. They're very modular in that way. Whereas the context would be, how many jobs are you going to need? 2 Belgians or 3 Belgians or 4 Belgians? Whereas how many jobs? Most jobs that you'd say on a farm, you would need at least 2 Haflingers. You may need 3, but there's a lot of jobs that only 2 will work. Whereas having that extra mare around, or having that extra horse around, is a little bit easier to stomach with the Haflinger. So there's some context to have. Now I'm obviously not an expert on it, but I thought I'd just cover that. Now the next context would be horse context, and we'll cover that here now. Well, we're giving the girls a little bit of a blow here. Made it up a couple big hills, and we give them a little bit of a break, enough time to have a potty break and getting some food ready, and just enjoying our time out on a wagon ride. But Now let's talk a little bit context between the horses, because that's something that's really interesting now. And knowing quite a few guys in the Haflingers, and now knowing some guys in Belgians, and there are some differences. Now, if you just, we're just saying work stock now. You're not going to be showing, you're not, going to be doing the 6-horse hitches. You're going to be doing big hitches where you got to have big hitch blood. So you're going to stay away from like the hitch style Belgians or the more showy type Haflinger. So you're saying, all right, I want a work style Haflinger, I want a work style Belgian. Now, there's going to be a lot of generalities here, but in general, your work stock Belgians are going to be much more docile, or more, they're not going to be so fiery, they're not going to be so hot-headed, and when you get them broke, more than likely, they're going to be the type that you can wrap your lines around your forecart or your wagon or whatnot, and go walk away, and they're going to be there. Now, you want to make sure they're good broke, and there are people who say you shouldn't do that. No, okay, well, you shouldn't do it then. But in general, your Belgians are going to be that way. And in general, your Haflingers are going to be able to do a lot of those things, but there is a good chance they're going to be a lot more fiery. They're just going to have some more warm blood in them. They are going to be a little bit hotter. And then the big thing for me that I think people should know is the trotting. And people know this, but your Haflingers are notorious for wanting to get into a TROT and just continue to TROT all the way home. Now, a lot of that is because hitch blood kind of in and out, and just kind of the way they are. Even your old style Haflingers, and I've worked some old style Haflinger chunks, and they still want to get into a trot. They want to go. And you can have that problem with Belgians, but in general, you're going to see that a lot more in Haflingers. Now, like these two horses here, you got Barbie on the right side or the off side, you got Georgie over here. Barbie will walk, and the only time she's going to get into a trot is if you ask her to. And Georgie, on the other hand, will trot, and the only time she's going to get into a walk is if you... you couldn't even say if you make her, because you're going to hold her back, but she's going to, work herself into a walk, kind of work a little bit and get into a walk. But when we get done, we'll be out here for 3.5, 4 hours today. She'll still want to trot on the way home. And that just is what it is. So you just have to keep that in mind. The context between the breeds is kind of, you just kind of got to go to, you go to the breeder, or you go to someone that you know. But in general, like I said, Temperament's going to be a little bit different. Now, people who love Haflingers and have Haflingers, you know what? They're going to work, and they're going to pull twice as hard you think that they could pull, and they're going to give it their all, and that's just because they've got that extra get to them. They've got some grit in there. They're not going to give up on you. Now, some will, obviously, but like right here. Georgie wanted to get into a trot. Barbie's kind of just following along, but got to hold it back a little bit. She'll get into a walk, but... when you get to work in Belgians like that just is not really, you're going to tell them to get into a trot if you want them to get into a trot. Now, again, like I said, that's a generality. Someone might say, oh, I got a Belgian that just wants to trot. Well, it might be a hitch style Belgian, which, you're obviously going to, they're bred to be getting to a trot and have a lot of action, and not, that's not what we're talking about, work style. The only other differences that may come into some differences there is your Belgians is your work style and your pulling bred. There's obviously going to be some crossover, and your pulling breds are going to be, in general, going to be a little bit more up in the bit, ready to roll, kind of, amped up. And your work stock, old style work stock, is not going to be that way. It's going to be a good, steady walk that, you can plow behind, that you can, mow. They're going to be bred for that work style, not for back, and go, when you're talking about a pulling bred. So those are just some things to think about. If you ask me, Belgian or Haflinger, I can't say that either one breed is like, oh, I love this. I love horses within the breed. Right here, Barbie on the right. I don't know if there's the amount of money that you could pay to get that 3-year-old right now off my hands. She is too good of a horse. She's broken 10 colts this fall already. She works good. Golly, she got bred on the first try, and she's just a heck of a horse. And the same thing can be said about Belgians. I got some Belgians I really love. I've had some Belgian crosses that I really, really love that are just a heck of horses. And there's some that you just don't get along with. That just is always the case. I would say the big thing is if
if you're willing to really find the team or horse that you really love, then you'll get along with something. If you don't get along with them, go send them down the road and find one that you do get along with. And the biggest thing is that Breck is such a good driver. Look at this boy go. He's driving them horses. You make me a pretty proud papa, Breck. Although
You're driving us into the ditch, son. What are we doing? All right, you got it?
Well, you're driving them like they do in the movies. Daddy doesn't drive them like that. You want me to take the lines back? All right. I think that's actually a beautiful place to stop, a wonderful place to stop and say that, as Lynn Miller says from Small Farmer Journal, the best horse, workhorse for you is the one that you're going to be happy to go out in your barn and look at every day of the year. That you're going to be happy to hitch up, and whether that's one Belgian or two Belgians or three Haflingers that have to get the job done, or two Haflingers or whatever that is, Belgian, is it that you enjoy it, that your family, that the children enjoy it. I can honestly say that the children, they do enjoy the Haflingers. My wife, Dr. Miller, certainly enjoys the Haflingers. I enjoy a little bit of both. I can't, it's all context dependent and what I got going on that year, or, kind of what I'm working in the barn. So I hope this was entertaining, to say the least. You got to see Breck drive the Haflingers, and, get out there and have some fun with some horses. That's the most important thing. I don't care what you work. Nobody should care what you work. Like I said, I got some guys that wouldn't be seen in the light of day working Haflingers, and that's fine. There's Haflinger guys that don't want a darn thing to do with the Belgians. So that is what it is. There's good workhorses everywhere, and just got to find the good ones, because there's a lot of, not junk, but there's a lot of stuff that's not been bred to work. That's been bred for different things that you've got to kind of make work, which is never as much fun as having something that is truthfully bred the right way for the work that you want to do. So with that, we're going to log off here. We love y'all. Thanks for tuning into the video. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing. My arm's about to fall off. Breck's driving them again. Bye-bye, everyone.